So I said to you, I promise you the US government listens to our show.
Yeah.
Okay, and I feel a little bit reprimanded.
Yeah.
Actually. So about 2 weeks ago, we had this conversation like, did they really land on the moon? Okay.
And I just want to point out in this moment where I know the government is listening that I said yes. Yes, the moon landing did happen, and you and Cindy are convinced it didn't.
Cindy's over there. Cindy ran away. Cindy, come back in here. Get back in here.
She's looking for
so
support.
Cindy and
Anele's
I
looking
were
for
like,
support.
nah, they didn't land. They shot that thing in Hollywood,
Yeah.
whatever. 2 days later, I get this email.
To America phone.
I get this email, and it says, hey, Anele, we've got Dr. Sian Proctor, who's going to be in the country, an astronaut for NASA.
Who's been in space?
I was like, oh, okay. So I could have chickened out and ignored the email, and I said, game on. Bring the rocket jet fighter pilot person in here. She's walking! Yay! And she is in the building. And you know what? You thinking to yourself, yeah, but I can never be an astronaut. This woman faced 2 challenges. Firstly, she discovered she's got bad eyes. And we were told that if you've got bad eyes, Dr. Sian, you can't even be a plane pilot, let alone an astronaut, right?
That used to be the case when I was growing up as a kid. I wanted to be a fighter jet pilot and going into the military, and you had to have 20/20 vision.
Yeah.
And because of thinking of the Apollo moon landings, that was the right stuff. They were all military aviators. So as a kid, I thought, okay, if I'm going to be an astronaut, I have to be a military aviator. And then from there, I would go on and become an astronaut. But there's many paths to space.
Yeah, right? Okay. So, because you studied geology, like you did 2 degrees, right? Run me through those 2 degrees that you did.
Yes, so my undergrad is environmental science, my master's is in geology, and then my PhD is in curriculum and instruction science education.
So sorry, say that slowly. So you said it's what? It's in what?
So I'm a geoscience professor.
Okay.
So geology, sustainability, science of disasters.
I like science of disasters. Oh, you in the right show. You
This is a train wreck every day.
your degree came to the right place. Okay, I'm gonna take a few steps back here. When you walked in, our producer says, "Oh, she didn't even see our screen because we've got your face big on the screen, right? We like to impress people with it." Then our other producer says, "She's been to space, so little screens don't really." Don't really impress you much.
No, I was really impressed when I walked into the lobby because it's really big there.
Okay.
And so, no, that was my selfie moment,
right.
but
You see.
yes.
So speaking of selfie moments, apparently you have got the selfie to end all selfies. Because I asked you, do they allow you to take your phone on a rocket?
They do. It's in storage until you actually get to space, but then you can break out we had iPhones and iPads. And so the entire crew was able to document our experience. And then when came home, we were able to share that. And so I did get the ultimate selfie photo.
What is it like you and then the world is behind you?
Yes, and it's stunning. Our planet is stunningly beautiful. And so there's nothing like seeing it from space.
Well, I was going to say exactly that. When I watched, you were part of the Netflix documentary, The Inspiration 4, and that's the journey you guys took. When I hear people speak who have been to space, there's one thing, I don't know if this was you before you left or came back like this, but people always have this huge difference in perspective when they return to Earth. Like,
absolutely.
It's just, what is that? What happens?
So that's the overview effect. And it's when astronauts go to space and they see the planet from that orbital perspective, they get changed as a result of it. And for me, I actually recently wrote a science book called Earthlight, because before going to space, that was a term that was not part of my vocabulary. Most people have never heard the term Earth light. And it's the light coming off of our planet, and it is unbelievably beautiful. And so when you're in low Earth orbit, you get bathed in Earth light. And so being up there, I was like, wow, it's so bright and it's so beautiful. And it just brought me as a scientist down this, and an artist, because I went to space as an artist and I got to paint in space. But down this rabbit hole of like, well, wait, what is Earthlight? And then it got me thinking about how the planet really transforms sunlight into Earthlight. And as a result, Earthlight is life. If it wasn't for our planet changing and stripping away sunlight, all the bad radiation and all of those things, we wouldn't be able to exist here. And so when we see that blue sky and the colors of our planet, that's all Earthlight.
And do you come back like a positive person, like like annoyingly positive. You know that friend? You're like,
Yes.
oh, there's like, oh, you can do it. Like, no, Sian, I can't. Like, are you that positive friend now?
I was positive before, but now even more so. Like I've got permagrin as a result of being bathed in earth light.
You walked in here, Sian, and you were just smiling all the way through.
Yes. Because I even on my phone I have my picture of me in space.
Oh, look at that!
Yes, and so I get to remind myself every day, like I went to space.
How long were you there? 3 days.
3 days.
Do you bath?
Yes, and so, but it's wet wipes to clean yourself up, but
like
sleeping in space. Here's a fun fact: 3 days in space, slept 3 nights, and never once thought about needing a pillow.
What? Why are you floating?
Because you're floating and there's no gravity.
Get out
You
of
can
here.
you can be in any orientation and there's no weight, so your head doesn't feel
Of
like
course.
heavy.
Okay, but so wait, how do you decide you're sleeping? Do you just like float? You're like, okay, good night, and then like tilt your head.
I did take a couple of like micro naps, during the day, and my crew members took pictures of me just kind of floating in space like this. But we tether our sleeping bags to our chairs and then slide in, because if you don't, you'll bump into
You'll
each
bump
other.
into each other
Because
like bumper
you're
cars.
floating. Yes, exactly. So you have to tether yourself in. But the funny thing is, people ask me, did I dream in space? And of course I did, but I don't remember my dreams because every time I woke up, I had spatial disorientation. Because you imagine you wake up and you're floating and you kind of like a deer in the headlights, you're startled and you're like, where am I? What am I doing? And then you remember you're in space and that you're floating in space. And so you don't remember your dreams. But for 2 weeks, every single night when I came home, 2 weeks straight, I dreamt about floating in space and seeing the Earth.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Where did you wake up this morning?
Yeah?
Well, you don't want to know.
On the way, more from Dr. Sian Proctor. She has been to space. She is an astronaut. She's dressed in her jumpsuit.
Yes.
This is
this
whatever
the
that
official
is.
one?
This is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am officially jealous. I will find out more from her. And this morning I listened to her TED Talk where she speaks about space, the word space, and then its greater form and the many meanings it could have. I loved her TED Talk. We're going to chat about that shortly. She wants to open up space so more women can find themselves in space. Like, the entire thing is poetic. During the course of today, please go onto YouTube and find her 3 TED Talks. One of them is about Eat Like a Martian, which we're going to discuss now because I wanted to know what did they eat when they're in space. The other one is about space. The third one is about imposter syndrome. All of these TED Talks are going to leave you moved, changed, inspired, engaged. But let's talk about this now. What did you guys eat in space?
Okay, first I'm going to ask you, what would you want to eat in space?
Ribs.
Ribs. Nice. Good. You were like,
Chicken
you were
wings
on
and
it.
ribs. I mean, it's our favorite food. I can imagine us chomping
Ribs.
on a nice big rib there in space.
My only issue with the ribs is what do we do with the bones afterwards?
Just let them float.
Let them float like it's like Fred Flintstone
Yes, exactly.
in 2024. What did you guys eat?
Well, my favorite food is pizza.
Okay.
So when SpaceX asked us what we wanted to eat, I was like, pizza, please. And they accommodated me. And I'm gluten-free. So they made me a delicious gluten-free pepperoni and jalapeno pizza.
No.
Yes, it was delicious. And I had an amazing BLT sandwich.
How do you warm it up? Is there a
It
microwave?
was cold, no heating or cooling element. So SpaceX made us basically a cooler. So it was cold pizza. But who doesn't like cold
I was about
pizza?
to say, pizza the next day is even better than when it's
exactly.
ribs as well. If you
Yeah,
bake
yeah,
it.
Yes.
Okay, so then when you get on a plane, naturally there's a pilot, right? But there's also air hostesses who serve you the food. So when you go into space, is everyone in the mission an astronaut?
Yes, everyone on the mission is an astronaut. So there was 4 of us together, and so there was my commander. Just like in an airplane, you have a pilot in the left
Yes.
seat, and which is the captain.
Yeah.
In space flight, that's your commander, and then you have your first officer on the right, and in for space, that's your mission pilot, and both are pilots. And can run all the operations and stuff.
So is there anyone on the rocket who's not an astronaut?
No, everybody's an astronaut.
So no one's there to
and
clean.
then the other two, we had our mission specialist, who is our medical officer, and that was Haley Arsenault, who is a physician's assistant at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, because our mission raised $250 million for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Yeah.
It was the largest fundraiser in their history to help end childhood cancer. and Haley's a childhood cancer survivor. So when she was 10 years old, she had bone cancer. St. Jude saved her life. So my commander, Jared Isaacman, arranged for this amazing fundraiser. And then Chris Dombrowski, he was our mission specialist. And I like to think of him as the person who tidied up the cabin. So he had to make sure that everything got put back in its right place, because when you re-enter the atmosphere, if everything is not accounted for and the balance, the weight and balance of the spacecraft is
Isn't
not
perfect,
you will tumble up and burn up in the atmosphere. So as the cleanup guy,
He's
he
the
had the
most
most
important
important
one,
person.
actually.
Yes.
Okay, so now you are in space, ne? And then is the rocket moving? Is it standing still?
nope,
Do you find a parking bay?
It is moving. We're moving at 17,500 miles per hour, which is orbital velocity. So you basically you have a 2-stage rocket that gets you up into orbit, and then you have to go super fast in order to be able to get to orbital velocity. So you basically fall around the Earth.
And
then
can you feel that it's moving that fast?
you can't, because it's just like when you're traveling in a car, you don't feel the speed because you're traveling at the same speed that the
As the
car is.
car,
Yes, so we're floating in space as the rocket is actually traveling really fast around the Earth, and there's nothing better than floating.
No, this is insane. I'm look. I'm a little bit obsessed with SpaceX, and I look at all the launches with all like Super Heavy's latest one, and like the whole. I love following it, and every time I watch the stuff, I just go, how?
I know.
How does this?
How does it work?
How does it work?
You know the song Rocket Man?
Yeah.
Yes.
All the science I don't understand. It's just my job 5 days a week.
Yes.
That line really resonates with me because the rocket science side is astounding.
It's astounding.
And the mathematics of how orbital velocities and rockets and how we send things to space is amazing. And what I love is the fact that it's inspiring. And so all of the kids out there that are listening, you can be a part of this now.
How?
By going in and learning STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Okay.
And you can be a part of this new space economy because it's literally becoming global. There's global access to this now. And there's a space agency here in South Africa.
Yes.
And so it's so exciting because so many people are having an opportunity to go to space that never had an opportunity before.
Okay, so in your TED Talk, the one about space, you said you had to go to space to realize actually that you don't need that much space because you guys, you kind of had to hang out together for 6 months in a small space before you could be taken into space. Unpack that for me, because to live in a small area when it's 6 adults, immediately you walk in and you have to kind of negotiate how you guys are going to do this.
That's correct. So I've lived, I do what's called analog astronaut before I became an actual astronaut. And an analog astronaut lives in simulated Moon and Mars bases, simulations. And so I did the high seas habitat for 4 months with a crew of 6 total. And you learn so much about yourself because you have to understand, like, am I a morning person or am I a night person? Do I need coffee before somebody talks to me? How do I, what about my crew members really bothers me, or what do I love about them? And as you learn how to understand yourself and how you deal in these confined environments, and we were all confined in 2020 during the pandemic,
Yeah, we
right?
were.
And we were like, who were you pinned up with? Because that made a difference in your life. And you think about family members. You live with your family, but it doesn't mean that conflict doesn't happen. We all, our siblings and our parents and stuff. How you mitigate that conflict is what matters. And so a lot of these analog simulations study crew cohesion. How do you get along? When conflict arises, what can you do? Because when we go to the moon, Mars, and beyond, there's you gotta work it out.
Fight up there.
Yeah, you can't run to your room and slam the door like that. You can't do that.
There are
You
no
have
doors
to get along.
Okay, so Mars, Moon, and beyond. That means you basically have state secrets, right?
Not yet, working on it.
Okay.
Why?
Are you signed like to secrecy here, hey?
With some things. Well, if you're asking, did I see aliens? I was looking, but I did not see any.
Is that what you wanted to ask?
Yes, I'm sure she snapped something there, ET
Yeah.
there with her
Hey,
iPhone.
I was looking. I was ready to document that, but I didn't see any anomalies, unfortunately.
I thought you were going to ask about the moon landing. That's what I thought you were going here.
No, okay.
Okay, let's talk
Okay,
about
let's
this.
talk about
Did
the
you guys
moon
land
landing.
on the moon?
Let's-
Sorry.
let's- okay.
Now we are.
I'm going to go with a big yes because my dad was working at the Guam tracking station
You
during
are
the
landing
Apollos.
baby.
I am a landing
She
baby.
came 9 months after they landed on the moon.
So I wouldn't be here if we didn't land on the moon. But here's the big thing. If millions of people watched them take off with their eyeballs in a rocket, where are they going?
Just
If
to
they-
do what you did, hang out in space.
So you think they went to space but not landed on the
Yes,
moon?
I definitely believe they went to space. But they landed on the moon part, I'm like,
Okay, so when we go back to the moon and we put the first female footsteps on the moon, which is, again, part of the Artemis program, and we have the Artemis Accords, which is so exciting. Will you believe that?
yes, I will, because women don't lie.
Women don't lie. I love it. Yes. That's right.
I
Right
will
there.
believe. Yes, I will. We can literally talk to you for the entire day, but we have to wrap this up. I'm so
Fascinating,
sad.
huh?
Can't we just cancel the rest of the day and listen to her?
Jeez, you are such an interesting person, like so inspirational. Like what you've accomplished is just mind blowing.
I just want to pick you up.
Thank
Just hug
you. Thank you. This has been fantastic being here, and I really appreciate you supporting me. And for all the youth listening, again, there's so much opportunity in STEM, and so the world is waiting for you.
Okay, so
Wild.
are you going to give any talks? Is she giving talks when she's here? Can people go see her somewhere? Yes, you've got it. Wonderful. Tell us, where are you going?
So I'm going to be at the Cy Bono Discovery Center this afternoon, along with the American Corner, talking to STEM Club. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to be at UP Aerospace Society, the Mae Jemison Science Reading Room. And then I am also going to go to Danfern College.
Danfern College. I live close to there.
Yes,
Oh,
on Wednesday.
What time? What time?
Yes. Oh, I don't know the
Okay.
time, but we'll.
Okay.
If you go to livingmaths.com, there's information on the one
Okay.
at Danfern College.
Okay.
And then I'm off to Durban and then to Cape Town. So I'm going all around.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Sian Proctor. Like I say, go watch all of her TED Talks on YouTube. She is absolutely brilliant, and you heard where she's going to be. We're also going to put that on our websites as well, in
Yes,
case you missed
yes.
it. And this is it. I want to say thank you for your service.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be in South Africa.
Wonderful.
there you go.
Thanks for joining us. Wow.
Anele and the club.
On 947.